Today's video is dedicated to Casey McClara. Thank you, Casey. Kykar wins Fury versus Teferi Temporal Archmage. My favourite. Yeah, we can keep that one, I think. Go for a blue source, and we might go for the Mystical Tutor. I've made a few upgrades to the Kykar list. I can't remember if I put the free counterspell in to protect that, actually, now that I think about it. That should probably be in there. So let's go for the Mystical Tutor. Could have done this on my opponent's turn, I suppose, just in case they can counter this. So we'll just go for the Swan Song, and hopefully we can protect our commander with that. A white and blue source takes us into the Talisman of Creativity. And our opponent now has double blue held up, so yeah, I think Brainstorm's okay. Try and get into a land this turn. And certainly do get into some lands, so let's go for getting rid of Wear and Tear and Winged Words. Then I think it's a good time to get down the Triome. I don't think I'm going to go for a Swan Song on my opponent's turn, so yeah, let's go like this for the As Its Signet. And now we're likely going in for Kykar and holding up the Swan Song next turn. And our opponent taps into a Basalt Monolith, so that is fine with me. Then taps that into Mana Vault. So it's a Mystic Gate for us. We'll play that out and go for the Kykar. Maybe could go for the Impulse to tap the Teferi instead. Or counter the Teferi. Maybe that's a better idea. Might hold off on the Kykar then. Well, they're attempting their Teferi. And we will attempt to Impulse into a counterspell. Mystic Confluence doesn't quite do it. That's really annoying. So it looks as though it's going to have to be Mission Briefing. So managing to land their Teferi, unfortunately. And untapping all that stuff, including double blue. But not holding up the blue at the very least. There is Docent of Perfection. Alright, Sol Ring is nice, so let's get down a land, get another red source with that, and then we will play out our commander, play the Sol Ring to get our first spirit token, and then it's fingers crossed that our opponent isn't able to do anything through the Swan Song, because we want to really keep our Kykar in play, so that we can go Mission Briefing into Impulse, looking at the top cards with the Teferi. And then tapping into of Invention will give them another flyer here, because we don't want them tutoring for what is probably the card that I can't remember the name of. It's banned in regular Commander. So we'll go Swan Song on that. Might be that they've got free counter magic though. They get a Human Wizard from casting the instant that we just countered. And then swinging in with a 5/4. We'll just take the hit. And we managed to keep our Kykar in play, that's really good. Counterspell, a little bit too late for that, but we'll probably still use it. Let's go Mission Briefing onto the Impulse. That obviously makes another token, and Mystic Confluence is on top. We can put that in the graveyard and keep hold of the Mystic Confluence, I think. So then we go Impulse here and cast Impulse. And we'll see if there's anything better than the Mystic Confluence on top of our library. Jessica's Ascendancy is nice. But we can refill our hand with Mystic Confluence, so we should probably take that. Then let's encourage them to do some blocks with the bird. This definitely doesn't have flying, does it? No. Not yet anyway, so we'll swing in there. And they block with the Kykar, so we take down the bird and we knock Teferi down by 2, so that's fine with me. One less blocker for them. Favourable Winds gives their creatures with flying +1/+1, so they've obviously gone for some kind of flying deck, which is slightly unusual with Teferi. Then untapping all their permanents again, or 4 of them at least. Only 3 cards left in hand now, so we can hope that they can't do anything to us. Just going to chump block the Docent of Perfection here. We'll take a hit for 1. Might as well sacrifice it for some mana. Not going to use it during the blocking phase, but it's a good habit to get into. Alright, and then we'll try the Mystic Confluence, although we're at risk of being pongified or something, so yeah, actually, we'll not bother doing anything just yet. That is a Marsh Flats. We will play that out straight away and grab a land. I'm just playing a Shockland tapped. And then they've got a pause at the beginning of combat, so I'm assuming that they're wanting to do something. Let's swing everything in at their Teferi and keep our fingers crossed. Yeah, that's really good that we managed to take that down. They've only got 3 cards left in hand. Doesn't seem as though they've really got too much of anything, hopefully. Now, a Torrential Gear Hulk, you can cast it without paying the mana cost. That just gets them into something like a Mana Crypt. Yeah, that might not do what they're thinking it's going to do, but will allow the Gear Hulk into play. Maybe they're fine just getting a Mana Crypt. Well, they definitely can't afford their commander at this point, so we'll go Mystic Confluence and I'll draw a bunch of cards and chump block with the Spirit that we're about to make. And that's really good. We get into an Anthem effect. The problem is our opponent has flying creatures or a flying creature in play. Can we take them out next turn or anywhere close to it? That'll be 3, 6, 9, 12... and 17, not quite. Yeah, I'm going to take it just so that we've got one more Spirit to attack in with. We are at a low life total here though. Okay, Dovin's Veto is a nice one. Drop Reliquary Tower and the Gravitational Shift, making Spirit tokens all the while. No counter magic from our opponent, so it's been a fairly tame Teferi deck, I must say. Which I'm not going to complain about. We'll swing in for a bunch of damage, hopefully go wide on them next turn. Knocking them down to 12 will probably get them next turn if they don't manage to get rid of the Gravitational Shift or just straight up get rid of us next turn. The Mana Vault pings them as well because it's tapped. They can tap out into their Teferi here, but we do have counter magic for it. And they feel as though that's all they can do here, so we will counter spell. Deciding to scoop it there, nothing else they can do this turn. We go wide on them thanks to the Gravitational Shift, so that was a pretty good have there. Looking pretty sketchy against the other control deck there, but obviously managing to get down the Kykar and go wide with our Spirits. With the game over, let's go through to the deck list and I'll take you over some of the changes I've made very quickly. Just a quick overview of some of the slight changes that I've made to the deck. We've got the incredible Archmage Emeritus that I haven't managed to play with yet. Didn't put in the Stormkiln Artist because the 4-drop slot is pretty heavy as it is in this deck, and I'd rather not have too many creatures in the deck. What else did I add here? Oh, put in the, not the Generous Gift, the Flawless Maneuver, because I've also added the Fierce Guardianship, so having 3 spells in the deck is obviously really going to help us, and if we don't have our commander in play, then it's not likely that the game is going too well anyway, so wanting to make use of the Flawless Maneuver cycle. Then added an Ephemera as well, because then we'll be able to protect our commander in a different way. There's nothing really to do with the rebound. I suppose it might come up in very, very niche scenarios, but I don't think there's any ETBs or anything that we can take advantage of, so if you don't have Ephemera, a Cloud Shift or something like that would be just as well. This is really to just protect the commander. And apart from that, I don't think there's all that many changes. Oh, I've put the Bergi in here as well from the recent Kaldheim set, because the more spells we cast, the more we'll be able to add mana. Don't know how relevant that's going to be. I might swap it out for something else. It might count towards some kind of big spell that we want to cast in a turn, so yeah, it might be the difference between us casting a big spell alongside some cantrips and not. Maybe we've got Bergi in play, we play a few cantrips, and then that allows us to get into Divine Visitation. I don't know, like I said. I'm not entirely sure how well this is going to do, but I'm deciding to just play test it a bit. Oh, and yeah, made a few changes and I can't remember them all. Jessica's Will is in here now as well. So hopefully you all enjoy that one. I don't know if people are still interested in Kykar or not, but you can be sure to let me know either way. I'm Tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.